Oh, we can hear the TV.
Oh, I saw that. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So I talked to you, and that's just amazing.
So we don't want to make that.
Because I'll tell you, I kind of don't want to do those from I don't have bandwidth. But if
Yeah, we have so much in common, like, yeah, so we got life and like, yeah, we started to
I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
She wasn't gonna really play.
What gavel was there? There's had a big space for dinner over August. Oh, my gosh. Father stopped. Coming tonight? Yeah. I'm like, yeah. Do you like fixed feet? Yeah. That's fun.
So my time is like.
But I just opened the meeting, so try it again. Wow, there's several people in here I don't know.
I don't want to watch. No. What do you think this? No, we usually put them away.
We did, but the table's been relocated. There used to be a table. It was a little round table. Again, not that big. Little.
You told her about that.
Yes, she had it already written down.
Pete, you're gonna lead us into the pledge when we come to action? Here we go, and let's do it. Please rise to the pledge of allegiance being led by Peter Martin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to our first regular board meeting of the new year, 2026, January 12th, 2026. And let's go through our agenda here. First, we got 3 sets of minutes to get through. I get a motion that the minutes of the December 8th, 2025 meeting be approved. Charlene, you weren't part of the meeting. She can still do it? Okay, just want to make sure.
As long as they have reviewed the minutes, they're allowed to.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, so Charlene Dubuque is first, and Trustee Price Bush is second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion that the minutes of the 12/15/2025 special meeting be approved? Trustee Fandesa. Trustee Price Bush, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion that the minutes of the 1/1/2026 organizational and special meeting be approved? Trustee Dunkelbarger. Trustee Fandesa. Discussion? All in favor?
Do you want to change that to 2026?
It is on the, what was, I think reprinted, so if you brought your own, you may not have had it, we did fix it, sorry about that. And did you send revised, right, that included liaisons, Rebecca?
Yes.
So as revised, so Paul is okay with that, and Bernadette's okay with that, so as revised. All in favor? And opposed? Motion carries. Sorry, this one. Okay, no presentations, public comment on agenda items only. I should include that we have 2 walk-ons tonight, and let me get to those. we have a DPW need for 2 sets of plow blades from T&T Sales. The size they need will cost a total of $1,078 for those 2. And I sent out a invoice for Alpine software for the Ballston Fire Department. And I included a note, while not specifically budgeted, it will replace another software that was budgeted. And this software meets new state mandates according to Glenn Bowers. That is for $7,489 from Alpine software. So those are among the motions that you can discuss in your public comment on agenda items only. If you're on Zoom and would like to speak, please raise your hand. Otherwise, Marilyn.
Marilyn Stevenson, 45 West High Street. I wanted to talk about proposed motion 7H. The motion is proposed to change village law to extend the time the planning board has to actually review the draft zoning code and provide a written advisory report to the village trustees. Can the trustees explain why the planning board needs 65 days from December 15th, 2025 to provide you with an advisory report? They've had quite a bit of time through this entire rezoning process. I previously had asked at a prior village board meeting if the draft zoning code would be discussed in public at a regularly scheduled meeting. According to the village calendar, the December 2025 planning board meeting did not have an agenda item related to the draft zoning code as an item of discussion. And the January 14th planning board meeting agenda for Wednesday does not make mention of any agenda item about the draft zoning code. So I'm a little concerned that the proposed change in the law would require the report to be submitted to the trustees by Wednesday, February 18th, without benefit of a public discussion of that board in front of the public. Can you please explain why the planning board is not discussing the draft zoning code at their regularly scheduled public meetings? And why is it necessary for the trustees to change the law to accommodate that? Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Liz.
Liz Cormos, 89 Tide, ditto what Marilyn just said. On item 12A, proposed local law, residency requirement for planning and zoning board. I know you're not putting the law out there yet, but I don't think there's any reason for you to go beyond the village as it stands now. Planning and zoning are very important organizations, and they should represent the will of residents. So to take it further out, doesn't make any sense. I believe there's quite a large number of folks that have already expressed interest in being on committees, and I don't think it will be difficult for the village to find suitable people. The other thing is on the abstract, there's an item on page 13 for $30,695. And I could not find anywhere in the last few months any motions or any reports of that going out to bid. I believe with a procurement policy, amounts greater than 20,000 need to be put out, for multiple applicants. And then it should be, before the money is spent, which is what's in the abstract, it should be voted on by the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah, hey, Alex.
Ellie Dillon, 11.
It's wobbly.
Yeah,
Okay. Don't put trust in it.
We gotta get a special tool for the bottom of it to screw it in. Yeah, there you go.
116 Malta Avenue, Ballston Spa. I ditto what Liz said, I just urge the board, to just consider village residents, we have a vested interest in the village, and we're the most logical people to discuss it and make planning for the future. I don't know if there's been a discussion at all about this, I don't know what the law actually says, but this is my 2 cents, okay? Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none, seeing nothing on Zoom, unless my eyes are failing me.
No, you're pretty good.
Okay. Let us go to consent agenda. For those new to this, you do have the opportunity to tell me now if you want to remove something from the consent agenda to be discussed separately. Is there any desire to discuss any of the consent agenda items separately? Hearing nothing from anybody in that, can I get a motion approving the consent agenda items? Trustee Fontainza. You two are right on top of it. Trustee Price Bush, am I giving that to? Okay, on second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion approving the following event applied for by the Saratoga County Agricultural Society, the Saratoga County Fair from July 21st to 26th, 2026, from 10 a.m. until 11 p.m. daily at the Saratoga County Fairgrounds. Proof of insurance has been provided. So, Trustee Dunkelbarger. Trustee Price Bush, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion approving the following event applied for by the Saratoga County Agricultural Society, Truck and Tractor Pull Vendor Fair on Saturday, October 10th, 2026, rain date Sunday, October 11th, 2026, from 9 a.m. until 8 p.m. at the Saratoga County Fairgrounds. Proof of insurance has been provided.
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Price Bush. Trustee Dunkelbarger, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And abstentions, none. So it is, just to be clear, 3 to 1. I'm not due for a tiebreaker for that one. Okay, can I get a motion approving the resignation of the following members from Union Fire Company number 2 and removing their names from the rolls? Colin Weissman and Julius Miller. Trustee Fontainza. Trustee Price Bush, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries, and thank you to them for their service. Can I get a motion approving the membership of Christopher T. Fremantle and the addition of his name to the rolls of Eagle Matley Fire Company number 1? Trustee Fontainza. Trustee Dunkelbarger, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion approving the hiring of part-time police officer John Dingman to the Ballston Spa Police Department pending a police background check? Trustee Dubuque, was that?
Yeah.
And Trustee Fontainza, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion approving the hiring of part-time police officer Caitlin Whalen to the Ballston Spa Police Department pending a police background check? Trustee Fontainza. Trustee Dunkelbarger, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion conditionally accepting the bid of Trinity Construction for the improvements to the Milton Water District Number 3 pump house for the price of $339,763, conditioned on the approval and execution by the town of Milton of the intermunicipal agreement with the Village of Ballston Spa related to Milton Water District Number 3, and authorizing the mayor, after conditions are met, to execute agreements/documents related to bid acceptance after review by the village attorney. Trustee Fontainza. Trustee Price Bush, discussion. We had referenced this in the 1-1 meeting. These are the actual changes to be made, but again, Tom Milton, Councilman Delnecky's here. I think he's probably heard about this, but we're asking Tom Milton to make sure they get this voted on so that this bid does not expire. I think it's around the 28th-ish, which is right around the time of their meeting, so they're working to try to accommodate that for us. And Tom Milton, we do appreciate that, so thank you. So this is just a conditional ability for me to sign off on it when they're finished and execute the IMA that we voted on 1-1. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion to extend the time set forth in section 205-74 of the Village Code to 65 days from December 15th, 2025 date of notification to those boards to allow the planning board to provide a written advisory report to the village board regarding the draft zoning code. Trustee Fandesa, Trustee Dubuque, discussion. So just to answer the question of, are we doing something illegal here?
No, you're not amending the law, you're waiving, you're actually waiving it, you're waiving it and extending the time. The reason that's being done is that the chairs of both boards requested that, because it is such a voluminous document. The code itself says they really can't start their deliberations until they receive it, which was on December 15th. My understanding is that they are discussing it at the meeting in February, and they've already been going through it, and I've gotten a lot of information from them with respect to it so far.
Any questions, any thoughts on that in discussion?
It's mainly just to give them an obligation at the time that that sent. People are family obligations, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Getting a motion approving the attached legal retainer agreement for 2026 between, sorry, what's this name again? Bartlett, Pontus, Stewart, and Rhodes, PC, and the Village of Ballston Spa, and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement. Trustee Fandesa. I'm going to let Trustee Dunkelbarger have this one, as you can unblock. Discussion?
Thanks for not trying.
Anybody else?
Yes, thank you. Just doing my job. Just keep me for another year.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion approving the audit agreement between Teal Becker and Chiamonte CPAs PC and the Village of Ballston Spa for audit services, including a single audit for USDA loan purposes, and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement. Trustee Fandesa, Trustee Dubuque, discussion. This is more or less adding a $5,000 single audit cost so that we can get the USDA loan closed. What happens is this: if you are going to take in more than $1 million of federal funding in a fiscal year, they force a single audit for that money, and we believe we may close both loans for the fire truck that we have received and the USDA DPW equipment that we've received most of, but not the dump trucks. So we may end up in this situation. So that's why we reached out to Teal Becker to say, can we do a single audit? They gave us a new retention letter, and that's what we're voting on right now. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion approving the purchase from T&T Sales of 2 sets of plow blades for a total of $1,078? Trustee Price Bush.
Second.
Trustee Dunkelbarger, discussion. Plow blades, I don't know why on earth they need those. It's been such a nice winter. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. I asked if they needed salt yet. He said no, thank God. Can I get a motion approving the purchase of software from Alpine Software for our Ballston Spa Fire Department for a total of $7,489. Trustee Fandesa, Trustee Dubuque, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Here's announcements. A couple announcements I do want to make. First off, I discussed today, this was something that came across our emails over the last couple of weeks, and it was something that was bothering me as somebody who lives around the corner from there as well, and I kind of monitor it because I'll go up the hill on Ralph Street quite often and kind of look into the park to see what's going on. I talked to Chief Bush and to Scott Kearns from our DPW working supervisor today, and discussed ideas to sort of take out of play the idea of using the pavilion as more or less a shelter right now, because I think it's an unsafe scenario with the temperatures we're at most of the time. And so I've directed them out of health, safety, and welfare, unless you're going to tell me you're against this idea of officially during the winter months, after we do the winterization of the pavilion and of the park, to close the pavilion from people being in there, to create a fencing which still will have visibility, but will at least show do not enter, because you'll be accused of trespassing. You go in there at that point to stack the picnic tables to the best that they can, so that it sends a message completely that it is closed and should not be resided in. I know it's a mixed view on something like this, where you could be taking a roof over their heads away, But it's also not a safe location to be with the temperatures this time of year especially. And we know of some episodes and incidents that have occurred with somebody that was trying to stay in that zone. It's just not safe in my mindset. If you want to give me any feedback or thoughts on that, feel free.
Well, I hope to give some feedback to some folks, some might be aware there's an individual who's unhoused and, who is reluctant to take help. And it was really, really cold some of these nights, 19 degrees, our police department has been making sure to check in with this individual, that, you know, they ended up getting into some, care at a hospital one night, but so it's mainly to kind of get them to get some help to get to code blue shelter. It's a difficult thing, and a number of phones were going off when it was particularly cold, especially people looking out for that individual. So I don't know what the right answer is, but I know that it's something everybody's very concerned about with that individual and anyone else who might be reluctant to take help to get to the shelter. But it's too dangerous. It's been too dangerous and too cold. So I mean, I guess we have to see if that helps, you know, kind of monitor it. I'm just concerned for them.
Anybody else want to give thoughts on that?
I agree, I think it's possibly a solution. You know, you have to stay compassionate, but also think about, you know, there's a safety issue here, and liability, so I think
And the
it's probably a
compassion,
good step for them.
the compassion for me is you drive by, you see the person there, and it's 20 degrees outside, and you know, I'm upset that I'm cold in my car because I didn't start it up in time, and I can only imagine what this person is doing outside, feeling outside at that point in time. So it's not about trying to do away with them here, it's actually trying to get them to find the help they need. The reluctance was something we discussed today, and we're not trying to create, you know, arrest situations or something like that. We're just trying to sort of place the onus on them to find a better solution for themselves, because there are solutions out there. We've got to make sure that they can get that help, and we know that Chief Bush is very, very good at trying to make sure that that happens. Anybody that's dealt with Chief Bush knows he has a big heart. I know I shouldn't say that out loud, Mary, because he'll be
He
mad
would
at me.
deny it.
I'll hear about it tomorrow.
Literally, he was looking for that person to try to get them help.
Yep.
Multiple times.
Yep.
Until he could find them. So, Chief Bush really goes above and beyond as far as serving people in this village. Sorry. Anyway, thank you for his service.
Yeah, I am
All
too.
the other officers who also look for this person.
And honestly, I use him kind of as a, you know, throw the idea out there, and if he's 100% opposed to it, I'll listen to him and not pursue it. In this case, he actually said, no, I'm okay with it in this respect, because he is concerned about that exact thing. And Scott Kearns and his guys will have to help make sure that we can fence it, get into the right spot, get the right signage up there to explain what the situation is, and we'll make sure that, you know, we send the message to those that might be trying to use it still.
Does county have any, like, resources, like social services to, like,
Probably
help, like,
something,
outreach or, well, no, but sometimes they don't, and we're really, this particular person is really, you know, for instance, Rise doesn't have a person that goes out and gets people. I asked pastors, you know, what do we know? And I think there's this disconnect of services. Okay, the person doesn't want it, you gotta try to convince them that this is what's safe, and especially, you know, I get it if it's summer, but it's not safe for them to be outside, you know, in this weather. So what do we have as far as resources? And I know that, like I said, Rise doesn't do outreach specifically to individuals, they don't have somebody to do that. I don't, can we look into what's possibly available to?
I
Because
think,
he's not the only person, but in particular, I think this is one that's around this time of year.
I think the answer is yes. I don't know if it's just a county question ultimately, but if it goes beyond that too, it might be a state-based question too. See what resources they have or suggestions they have. So we'll take you up on that and see what we've got in the meantime, but I think this is the first step to try to say, look, while we feel for you in this situation, this isn't a solution, and it's going to end up probably being more of a problem than a solution if it continues, so. Late Friday, we received our DPW garage report from Delaware Engineering after about a 5-month wait for the report to be generated. Scott Kearns and I both gave it a quick look through on Friday, and I ran into Paul Dunkelbarger on Friday at the Deadwood ribbon cutting, and I said, Paul, would you mind, I'm sure he'll give us his DPW report, a little bit of his walkthrough with the DPW staff he had last week, but I asked him to take a look at the report, and we were kind of less than in awe of the situation, and what I did today was after kind of reviewing things and talking again with Scott, reached out to Don Rhodes at LaBerge to see his options. Don's got some experience with folks that have used some very creative means, maybe pole barn approach and then outfitting it and stuff like that. What we saw from the report was basically a 9,750 square foot or thereabouts building in this place would be about $4 million. A 13,000 square foot building would be $8 million. Now, don't ask me how that math works, because you would think that by going up 50% in a building, it would cost you less than 50% increase, because you're already outfitting the most major components in that situation. For some reason, it doubled in that respect, and we can't understand why. But we also know that there's some creativity from other municipalities that's been done that have gotten them very good buildings and things to be proud of, and we're trying to figure out what the right next step is. Because as Don said, if you've gone twice now and reached the same result, which is kind of less than awe-inspiring results from the 2 engineering firms that have done it, then doing a third time wouldn't be a smart idea either. Now let's think outside the box a little bit. And Scott Kearns has the same opinion of it as the person probably most directly affected with his staff. It's like, what are we doing here? We need a better approach than this. This isn't okay, because they're just as concerned about village dollars and tax dollars as anybody. And I appreciate that. They could ask for the Taj Mahal, and they're not. They just want something that is safer than what they have right now, and that doesn't leak all the time, has a little bit of insulation maybe somewhere in the building. So we're going to see what Don Rhodes can come up with. I just wanted to get you up to speed on where that is. Appreciate Paul taking this weekend and looking at that report a little bit to kind of make sure I wasn't going crazy. He doesn't think I'm going crazy, at least on that aspect of life, maybe other things. But there you have it at this point. So there you go. We are also, staffing-wise, working on trying to get posted up and interviews for a deputy clerk, deputy treasurer part-time position. Rebecca's been doing a tremendous job as our new clerk in this short time she's been in that position. But obviously, with also the deputy treasurer role, she's kind of buried right now. So we've got to try to get her the assistance she needs as well on both the aspects that she's handling with clerking and with treasurer. So we will keep you apprised of that situation as we can down the line. But I just want to let you know, you may be seeing a motion like that down the line with respect to deputy clerk, deputy treasurer. Finally, thank you to Carla for coming in actually on Friday and spending a few hours actually, with staff to answer some questions that just have been kind of out there that we need to follow up on. She's helped Rebecca sort of understand the legalities of her job as clerk, because clerk's a pretty important legal role, and FOIL requests, stuff like that come in all the time, what to do with them, how to do it. Different water questions we had, different planning and zoning questions we had. Kathy came in as well. So we're going to try to make that a more frequent event. Maybe have our trustees, basically one at a time, unless I disappear, then 2 at a time, come in and ask your questions as well that you may have out there about your functions and duties, or ways to get things done. So it's going to be a very educational 2 years here for sure, and we want to make sure we start out on the right foot. So thank you again for that.
That's good.
We got good feedback from the critics over there in the corner. I think that is it for me. I'm gonna dig out the treasurer's report, so I'll go through liaison reports first and I'll end with treasurer's report. Go ahead, Bernadette.
Just quickly, at the Business Association, they recently had a ribbon cutting, for Deadwood Field and Furniture. They're on Front Street, they're a new business, well, actually, they've been in, the village for a bit, but they have a storefront now on Front Street. I could not go, was not feeling great, so thank you to those that went to the ribbon cutting. It's always great that our board welcomes businesses here. Chocolate Festival, I have down for February 6th from 5 to 9, and that's always a good time, so I encourage folks to go out. It's a good time to support our businesses in these kind of lean months. So encourage you to go out, support small businesses. And then for our revitalized V-Spa, the BOA committee, we have a meeting on January 22nd at 7 p.m. at the village office. Just wanted to put that out there. That's all I got. Short and sweet.
Well, got a lot of compliments on the display on the Ricketts fencing. We gotta get the green thing in the back now that it's sort of, the wind took that thing and put it all over the place, but what's in front is good, and we've gotten good compliments on that. Including from David Rickett, I'll tell you that flat out. So, in case he's watching, thank you, David.
That's good. No, I'm glad that people are appreciating that. That was something we could do with the BOA grant that we have, just screening that well, it's continuing to be remediated by the so.
Well, thanks for the work on that.
Well, of course, good team.
Mary, what do you got?
The library is back open.
Heard of it.
Story time is back at the library every Thursday from 10 a.m. until 11 for children 18 months to 5 years. The registration is not necessary. They're going to be opening up the sign-up sheets for the AARP tax help soon. So keep an eye on the website for that. They also have Piper Arts Meetup. It's going to be held Saturday, January 17th from 1 to 2. And Pause 3 will be held Saturday, January 24th from 11:30 to 12:30. And those are both in the community room. So reading talks, yes.
Oh.
Right here, the guy. Ballston Area Seniors has a new president. Earl Eden is the new president. And their 2026 trip schedule includes Garrett State Castle, Lake George Lunch Cruise, Lobster Pot Dinner, and House Cavern. So it's never too late to join up and join them.
I'm 49, am I too young still to go on all those trips?
I think maybe 1 year.
May 2nd, okay. There you go. Thanks, Mary.
So I have quite a bit.
Charlene, go for it.
All right, so the Historic District Commission is having a meeting tomorrow, Tuesday, January 13th at 7 p.m., 90 East High Street.
Steve Springer's residence, right?
Yes, looking forward to that. And then, some changeover with Committee on the Arts, but they do have an event this Saturday at Brookside, Music for Victorian Tea, Sounds and Winter Concert Series. It is a free event. Of course, you do want to register for that. So Saturday, January 17th at 3 p.m. And then again, is at Brookside, 21 Third Road Avenue. You can register at brookesidemuseum.org. And then, of course, Caitlin, who was just awesome with her reports that she sends. She did ask me to read this off. So the Park and Tree Board is excited to be moving forward with the DEC Urban Forestry Tree Maintenance Grant, for which the village applied in 2023 and had been awarded in 2024, but has taken quite a while for the state to take action on. The grant is for pruning existing trees, planting and maintaining new trees, as well as removing stumps in the center of our village business district. This is the second DEC Urban Forestry grant that the Park and Tree Board has been awarded, the first in 2021 for the tree inventory and management plan. Outside of moving the grant forward, they are also beginning to think about the budget needs of the upcoming fiscal year, as well as more grant opportunities for improvements in our other village parks. Although the ground might be frozen now, it's never too late to start thinking about planting trees come spring. Remember that you can always reach out to the Park and Tree Board, and they can help you decide the right tree for the right location, as well as tree planting guidelines and advice. And the Park and Tree Board would like to welcome me, so this is a little bit of a blush here, and is looking forward to me attending the upcoming meeting, and that's going to be Tuesday, January 20th at 7 p.m. in the Cornell Cooperative Church.
And we get a chance to talk with them tomorrow too about
Yeah, I'm
that
looking
grant.
forward to that.
And Chris and Caitlin should be coming over.
Oh, Chris is coming too?
I think she's trying to get him over, so it should be great, and we love working with them. Jen will be joining us, because she's getting an update on the grant too, to make sure that we're all set with that, or at least moving in the right direction with it, so see you tomorrow. Paul?
I did not get a chance to meet with the planning or zoning board, they have not had a meeting since I took over, but I will attend the planning board meeting on Wednesday. I did spend a significant amount of time with the DPW guys on last Thursday morning, got the extensive tour of our water treatment plant and facilities.
That's a great tour, isn't it?
Yeah, I actually did not realize how much property the village owns outside of the village of Ballston. Their recent activities included responding to multiple storms and plowing and salting. There was a pipe break treatment plant. They've done a quick fix and they have a permanent fix scheduled when the parts come in. As of this morning, I believe they should have finished removing all the Christmas tree decorations in the tree. They completed all the commercial meter readings. They've activated the new water tower telemetering system between the
John Street?
John Street
Yep.
Tower, water pump. And they continue to do their routine tasks of taking water samples, locating requests, and meter reads. They do have a broken salter. They have ordered the parts and they're waiting for us so they can fix it. They did some work in the garage, specifically fixing the insulation that come down that was missing. Produced drafts throughout the building. The building does definitely need some work, and I don't think there's any amount of paint you can put on it.
Yeah, I don't think paint's the answer.
And then I did ask, while I was with him, I did ask about staffing. The department has 10 employees, and they were made particular notice to me that 40% of those employees could or will retire within the next 2 years.
Yep.
Which is a problem, because I think the last thing that we did was the gentleman from the engineering firm who's here to do the leak monitoring for the water lines.
GPRS, yep.
Yeah, was asking them about the mapping and things like that, and the response I got was, well, yeah, that's all up here. That's not a good place for things like that. So we need to do some more to get that
Yeah.
on paper or get some knowledge transfer.
Yeah, and one of the things we had done in the last contract was, and then when Jeff had retired, was work on the salary structure, because we realized we were way under to even attract folks. We've been having a little bit more success, I think, at our newer rates, and you know, it's still tough to get folks with experience to come on over, no matter what you do, because union contracts sort of have certain built-in restrictions on what you can do in those respects.
Once they get their CDLs, they're even worth more. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely are. One thing I should say also, we were talking about two things today that might be coming your way with respect to the water system. We're looking at getting slick fiber into more facilities and buildings because also we're losing Verizon phone service in some of our water buildings, and that is what hooks into basically Mahoney for alarm systems. Basically, you know, something happens across the Verizon phone, it triggers over to Mahoney as an alarm, and you know, we get the call to go take a look at what's going on. Verizon, with those copper line phone systems, they're obsolete and they're getting basically discontinued. So we're looking at slick fiber as an internet solution where we can get it. Not every location, like Brownell Street currently may not be ready yet, but there are several locations that might be. So we're looking at getting slick into Village Hall, in this building here, the library, and some of the water buildings as well. And also, this is something Bob Kavanaugh has been in my ear about for so long, and so we are looking at getting variable speed or variable operating water pump systems in, it's one of the things that's in the Water District 3 plans. We're spending a lot of money on electricity bills in these because they're constantly running, and a good way to run out your pump too in that way. So it may cost 20 grand, but you may save in the first year that 20 grand in electricity costs, and so there could be some real savings, but we're going to get some engineers to give us a little bit more perspective on that, what costs are versus what they think we'll save. You're not going to save the entire electricity bill, obviously, you're still going to run it part of the time, but something that, like I said, for a couple of years I've heard a lot about it from Bob, and I finally said to Scott, what are we doing with this? And we're gonna make some marches toward that. We read Treasurer's report real quick here. We've received and processed meter cards that have been returned to Village Hall, and any that we received in postmarked January 1st or later will be assessed a $50 meter fee to their utility bill on February 1st. Utility bills will be going out and landing in residents' hands via the postal mail or email by February 1st. If in the future you'd like to receive it via email, your utility bill, please call Village Hall and we will have your account updated. Complete payroll. It's been a year that we've been with them. Overall, been positive for our Treasury Department. It's been easier for paychecks being issued without fail. And so they still have some issues with police payroll because there's about 15 different codings you can do for police payroll. I've seen you have to do it. That's pretty much your entire Monday, Rebecca, if I knew. But their payroll being most complex with a 24-hour covered department, it's always going to be somewhat difficult no matter who's handling. So we thank Complete Payroll for stepping up. Medical cards for HRA purposes. Lifetime benefits will still accept last year's, but we've moved over to the WEX HRA, which I believe has been fully transitioned over, so everybody will be receiving their cards. Sales tax was for Saratoga County 14.04 million, showing a decrease from the same period last year, about $45,000 or 0.32%. Let's see, year to date though, it's up by 3.78% in the county. Obviously, because of assessment differentials, we end up when they're up about 3.78%, almost flatlining basically. So still, the right trajectory. And then as we get more assessed value, that will help us because that's what this county's sales tax formula is built on. Finally, bank reconciliations be completed for the month of December 2025 and emailed if they haven't been already. That's all I got. Now I'll shut up and let our attorney talk about new business proposed local law number 1.
There's been a lot of discussion when the zoning code was being drafted. The new zoning code was being drafted. There was discussion about the residency requirements for planning board members, zoning board members, and whether or not they can live outside the village. There are a lot of different municipalities in the area and outside the area that do allow members of various boards, historic, planning, zoning, plus individuals such as the village clerk, a DPW superintendent, things of that nature, any building inspector, to live outside the village, but you have to be within the county. That can be done by local law. State law says you have to live within the village, but that can be amended by a local law. You cannot go outside the county without going down to Albany and getting home rule legislation similar to the process the board did for the Woods Hollow sale. Speaking with the prior board, this came up, during the zoning this came up, speaking with the planning board chair, the zoning board chair, and getting their take, speaking with the mayor and trustees, there was a decision that we could look into the law and see what's our residency requirements. Currently, the law does allow residents to live outside the village within the county for specific offices.
You mean appointees for
Appointed officials, not elected officials, right? Well, elected officials, your stuff, you have to fulfill.
Yep.
Appointed officials, your law currently does allow that. It allows it for all appointed village officials except not planning and zoning members. And it's just the way the law was written back in the 80s. So what I did was I looked at that and hearing everyone, and with the mayor's direction to do so, I drafted up the law that I presented to you folks. And the law basically, it does two things. It limits and it expands. So it limits the current law to say that those appointed village officials, not planning and zoning, but those appointed village officials have to live either in the village of Ballston Spa or in the adjoining towns of Milton, Ballston, or Malta. It expands the current law, because it allows planning board and zoning board members to be part of those appointed village officials, if that makes sense. It's a little odd because of the way the law was written. The other thing is, the way the law is written now, it's a retroactive plus a prospective law. So when the law was enacted whenever it was enacted, back in the 80s, 90s, it said this law allows the folks that are on boards at the time of the enactment of the law to stay on the boards, and all their actions prior to and all their actions going forward are legal. We've just taken that language and continued it now so that any members of planning and zoning right now that may live outside the village, but within the towns of Ballston, Milton, or Malta, or currently within the county of Saratoga, can continue their terms. So for example, if there's a member who started in the village of Ballston Spa, moved out of the village of Ballston Spa, they can continue their term, but they cannot be reappointed. It's a little confusing, but it appears to allow for the planning and zoning boards to continue to move forward. And it addresses the concerns of some folks that we shouldn't go to the whole county. People in Clifton Park shouldn't have a say in what Ballston Spa says, but people in Milton may, because they're right next to it and this is their community. So that's generally what you have for you. I'm happy to answer any questions from the board.
It seems pretty straightforward to me, with what the plan is.
Can you please speak up? Thank you.
I said it seems pretty straightforward to me.
Yeah, I mean the whole discussion, not you.
I have never been told that's quiet.
No, you're great.
Okay.
You've got a teacher voice.
Oh, no.
And trust me, I'm not quite. Go ahead, Charlie.
I just said it seems pretty straightforward to me.
There's been a lot of discussion about this, some concerns from, board chairs of continuity of knowledge, people who have, been on there. Would hate to lose that kind of knowledge, but like for, if somebody had to move out for some reason that's local. But I had expressed that we certainly cannot be reappointed. I think that makes no sense. I'm sorry, Ellie, I'm trying to be loud. It's you leading in. Basically, this is a compromise. I think there were some concern from some folks that, it would be bad to lose experienced board members on those boards. My rod was, well, they should not expect to be reappointed. So this is kind of like a compromise of some of the concerns that the board chairs have, some of my concerns. So we kind of found a middle point, which is good. I'm glad to see what I was concerned with, so.
Paul, you've been on planning as an alternate, I think, before. Anything you wanted to add from your perspective?
Just from my personal background, I was a resident of the town of Milton, not the village of Ballston Spa, for quite a while. That doesn't mean that I didn't care about what was going on in the village of Ballston Spa. So I would think expanding the radius of where you can pull people from is important, but not to go too far. So I like the 3 adjoining towns rule. And it does give us a little bit deeper town profile. Some of the current board member who's, I think, probably the cause of all this consternation, it would be unfortunate to lose him at this point because this has been part of his employment for his entire career. So to lose that knowledge on the board at this time with some pretty hefty planning stuff coming in, I think would be bad.
Mary, anything to add?
No, I think Carla did a great job with the readiness, and I think it covers all the bases, and it's a good compromise.
Okay, so would make sense then to have a motion to hold a public hearing with respect to proposed local law number 1 of 2026 regarding residency requirement for planning board and zoning board of appeals and the residency requirement for appointees. Is that
Appointed officials.
appointed officials?
Yeah.
We'll call that at 7:01 p.m. on Monday, January 26th, during our normal board meeting. Can I get a motion for that? Trustee Van Dyke said. with trustee Dunkelbarger. Okay, discussion is preceded here by 90-second availability to public comment with respect to this. We've had a hand that's been up for a while, so I'm not sure if that is.
Andrea wants to say something.
No, I think it's been up for a while, so let's do this. Let's take her hand down for now. Andrea, we'll get to you in a second. I didn't realize you may want to say something. I should have offered you the opportunity. We'll put you in public comment then. Liz will go first, 90 seconds.
Yeah, my only comment is I'm glad you reduced it down to the bordering towns, but I think there should be a stipulation, if there are not enough applicants for these positions, then you can go outside. I don't think just off the bat, when you've got a pile of residents that want to serve on these boards, that you go outside.
Thank you. Marilyn? I'm not sure about the legality in the first place.
Marilyn Stevenson, 45 West High Street. I'm just disappointed that this came up on the agenda without the public really seeing any of the written proposal of this particular change to the law. I looked at the attachments, I didn't see a draft there. I think it's another example of really kind of rushing this through. There really is a lack of transparency on village appointments for various committees. And so I would just encourage you to become more transparent. We have a wealth of knowledge within the village. I don't really see a reason to go outside the village to get expertise. I really question that. It would be ridiculous for myself, as an example, to somehow serve on a board in the town of Malta. That makes no sense. I'm not a resident of Malta. I'm a resident of the village. Village residents have expertise they can bring to the table, and they should be tapped as a resource for these appointments. Thank you.
And just to check, process-wise, with respect to getting the law out to public for posting and everything, that'll be probably later this week. You can push that out.
Tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And you can put it on the website tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Anybody else? Nothing on Zoom? Okay, with respect to the motion for public hearing, is there any discussion beyond that for us? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are up to public comment on any issue for 3 minutes. Andrea, if you still want to talk, no?
Nope,
just
it
an
was a
accidental
mistake.
hand. No problem, but thank you, Andrea, for all you do. We appreciate it, and for working the insulation in here. It's warmer than it was a few weeks ago, I'll say that much, when it was in the 50s in this building, or less. Marilyn, go ahead, 3 minutes on any topic.
Marilyn Stevenson, 45 West High Street. I just wanted to get a clarification as a follow-up on the comments about the approved change to the village code. Does this mean that the planning board will discuss the proposed draft zoning code at their February 11th meeting? I'm just a little concerned about that because they actually have more time than that to provide the trustees with an advisory report. And also just wondering about the role of the Zoning Board of Appeals, whether or not their discussion of the code will be made public. I noticed they do not have a meeting this month. Just a point of information, it was reported through the liaisons that the BOA meeting is January 22nd, that the Historic District Commission meeting is tomorrow night, and Park and Tree is on the 20th. None of those meetings, which are public meetings, are on the village calendar. There is no agenda for the Historic District Commission meeting, so if there is business that will be discussed, it should have already been posted to the calendar. I'm not being critical, I'm just saying the public is not being well served in these appointed boards. If the boards and the chairs are not getting the information to Village Hall, so those dates and agendas and the business and the matter of village business is being communicated to the public, and I'm concerned about that, so.
Jen, would you like to?
Sure. What, I was gonna say, what were you had 3,
Yeah, the Historic District Commission
Right.
meeting tomorrow night
right?
is not on the village calendar.
What were the other
BOA
2?
meeting for the 22nd is not on the calendar.
Okay.
The Park and Tree Board for the 20th is not on the calendar.
Park and Tree and BOA, I do not have. The Historic Commission sent me their agenda today without a location. I did ask for that location twice. I hadn't heard by the time I closed.
Yeah.
That was as far as I can get.
Regarding BOA, that's on me, I need to email Jen. I've announced this for the last 3 meetings, I believe, so it hasn't been not discussed. But anyway, it will go up. I noticed it today, so I will email Jen, make sure you have
And
it.
Jen's also fixing a legacy calendar problem that we noticed a
Working on it.
couple weeks ago, literally having to go in by hand to remove every meeting that unintentionally got posted. There were some days this year that had 12 meetings scheduled.
Oh,
on the
some that
same
had
day.
more than that.
Okay,
So-
12 that I could see. So she's literally by hand fixing the.
So I am
entire
in the calendar. If you have any problems with it, you tell me right away.
Yeah, and I do,
I know.
for a long time.
That's okay.
The same with me, we're learning, I'm just getting in, just meeting with these people, there's nothing malicious here, I'm just getting.
No, I didn't say that.
It's not-
I'm not putting the burden of the chairperson for that group.
I understand that, right now,
Yeah.
there's just a delay in us getting the information and getting it out to the public, we'll do better in the future.
Anybody else?
I just wanna follow up, Bernadette, is the BOA meeting, for resident input, or is it a meeting that is private, or
No,
we
no,
can observe?
It's public, you can observe, we do just out of courtesy allow public comment at the end, but
Okay,
the work
but
is
you
done
don't
by
re-
the
yeah,
committee.
You're not requiring resident input at that time?
No,
Okay.
it's not a workshop,
That's,
it's
yeah.
it's a committee work day.
Okay,
so.
thanks.
Did she go? No, okay, that was the previous one. I lose track, Liz, I'm sorry.
Liz Cormos, 89 Hyde, I've got 2 issues. One is the Ethics Board. Currently, there is only 1 member who is a holdover, who hasn't been reappointed. According to Village Code Section 27-21A, Item 6, it, quote, "It is the responsibility of the village board to solicit new applicants to fill current and upcoming vacancies on the Board of Ethics in a timely manner. When will this board fulfill its obligation to appoint a full ethics board?" Second item, short-term rentals. In the past, Mayor Rossi, you stated you wanted to wait for the county before drafting any code for short-term rentals. And instead, you proposed, or somebody proposed, a ban on short-term rentals in the new code. Are you familiar with Amendment Bill S. 820 signed last February? This amended short-term rental law shifts the primary regulatory, registration, and enforcement authority from the counties towards a shared framework where the counties still run the registries in data hubs, but cities, towns, and villages retain and strengthen their ability to regulate, enforce, and receive information about short-term rentals. There is absolutely no reason that the village cannot move ahead and draft a short-term rental law now and not wait for the county, because all the county is going to do is pass information on from a registry.
You're wrong, unfortunately, because the county is actually going to be the source of tax situation, the taxing authority on this, and will help determine whether there's financial viability in this whole situation for short-term rentals in a municipality like ours, in which we are understaffed to start, and we'll have to do something to probably pay for more resources to do these inspections, et cetera, that would be put at our feet in short-term rentals. And that's why we're waiting to see how the county's approaching this, what kind of reimbursement they're going to try to set up, how that registry is going to work, there are so many unknowns still, and the county has struggled themselves to come up with an answer with respect to that. So it is still very much in the hands of the county on how this is going to progress for a smaller community like ours, and everybody is sort of looking at Saratoga County saying, what are we going to do with this? So that's where we are with it. What was your first point, Liz? Ethics committee, thank you. Carla and I discussed this Friday as part of our little confab we had at Village Hall. And I showed her my concern with respect to the term language in terms of whose terms are what. And she's taking a look at revising that code so that when we do appoint people, they know what term they're in, and to create the rotation that you expect so that not everybody falls off at the same time. Pete Martin is the only person left there as a holdover currently. And so we're going to make sure that we have it clear who is what term. It's going to be a 3-year term, a 2-year term, or 1-year term in that process. And also adding some language I proposed, and again, you'll have final say in this, but I know there was concern about how, we thought this was in it originally, we can't find it, how possible law changes to the ethics code in the future should be reviewed in the first place or recommended by the ethics board in and of itself. That never made it to the final press. We're not sure why or how, and so that should be re-added so that we have some, mechanism to create this without us having to get directly involved in the initial stages of it. We ask them to take a look at it and then recommend it to us again, because this is about us when it comes down to it. So we're not looking so much to affect substantive aspects of the code or the law. We're looking at the procedural stuff that we didn't get right, it seems like, when we did this a couple of years ago, and thanks to Carla for kind of looking through that. If you want to take a look through the ethics code though and see if there's something else that bothers you about it or whatever, now would be a good time to send that in. That will likely be proposed local law number 2, 2026, coming up very soon. So if you want to suggest something directly to Carla or to the board, as your thoughts on something should be fixed, go right ahead. But those are the 2 things that have really been on my mind with respect to it, and why we're sort of hesitating right now to name people, because we don't even know how to do the terms for them at this point.
Do we have like a anticipated timeline? What this looks like?
As soon as possible. Yeah. So the stuff that I suggested to her isn't, hard writing per se.
But it was Friday afternoon.
It was
So
Friday
it's not-
afternoon. No, it won't be like 4 weeks worth of writing, but again, if you see something else, then we could delay it if it needs to be. So there's that. Anybody else?
Yes.
No. Oh, yes, Jan.
It's been a while. Gina Morosi, 10 Old Glory Lane. Hi, everybody. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Let's talk about something fun. We've had enough negativity for the day. Sleigh riding down Bath Street.
The snowfalls.
As it looks right now, we're gonna meet and determine the final date and if we're actually gonna go forward with it, but Mr. Heck has generously, again, offered to truck snow for us. And if that's the case, we should be in good shape because he has access to tons and tons of snow, as we know from last year. So that's the plan. The initial plan, like I said, we have to meet to finalize everything. And hopefully we don't get blamed for ruining the roads in the village this time around. And
one thing that people have asked about in the past is about closing off Front Street for the entirety of when the snow was down, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, because I had asked that you consider
yes.
breaking up the hill basically. Is that going to be done if we do move forward with it?
I'm gonna talk to Scott about that if we do move forward, but the hope is to have the big hill starting at the top, ending at Front Street, keeping Front Street open, and then having like bunny hop from Front Street down to Washington for the littler kids. In that way, although that day there won't be any cars allowed through there.
During the day,
There'll be, right, there will be, foot traffic allowed throughout. And it'll be open that night to cars, no problem.
Yes,
The night before.
I almost fell flat on my face trying to go over that, walk over that,
Yes.
night it was out there that Friday night, so I appreciate that as much as anybody.
So that's the hope, stay tuned, because, this normally does take place at the end of February, if we do have it, so see if Mother Nature will cooperate.
Ellie, get your sled ready.
It's ready.
Anybody else?
It's a disc.
Okay, this is time for other business included but not limited to board response to public comment. I will start with Paul. If you have anything, you can pass. If you don't, and Charlene, and Mary. Bernadette?
Just the translation services. We still need to get answers for them. We got 2 bids, basically 2 offers.
You're supposed to have 3
We're
days.
supposed to have 3, the state's supposed to contact them to see what others, why they did not, put in their 2 cents for us picking them, but we should be working on that soon at one of the meetings. So.
Well, they could force us to rebid if the answer is like there wasn't sufficient
I don't
information.
think it's that, I think it's just a small,
Hopefully not, but
you know.
who knows? Yep.
So pending that everything is for the most part fine, we should work on that soon, you know, I encourage people to support it. And, yeah, so.
Just wait on the state. I know that's hard to believe. And I think otherwise I'm good to go. So can I get a motion to have the vouchers audited and the meeting adjourned at 8:03 p.m.? Trustee DeVue. Trustee Price Bush, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. See you on the 26th, everybody.
Actually, what's that?
No, not yet.
Hey, Eric, you got a meeting on Tuesday, just saying that. We just got